All right. Well, without further ado, I want to make sure that we give you enough time to talk. So it's 3 minutes after the hour on, in terms of my clock anyway. So I'm going to first welcome everyone to the Food Protection Educational Resource Collection Committee meeting. And we appreciate everyone coming and joining. We have a fabulous speaker for you today. We will start with Mr. Eastwood, but then we will end up covering what our committee has done this year and all those great highlights after Nick is completed. So we have Nick. He is the president of Always Food Safe and has over 40 years experience in the industry. He is a board member of ANSI as well as numerous FDA committees. Nick pioneered the use of fully video-based online training systems in the UK. And in 2016, he brought the knowledge and experience to the US, where he has developed 3 ANSI accredited online video-based courses with over 500,000 people taking his courses. So welcome to you, Nick.
Thank you. That's very kind of you to say. Obviously, for everybody, I am from the UK, so if you need any translation, just put your hand up and tell me to slow down, please. So we do have a tendency to talk very fast. What I kind of want to do today is, I know some of you may be interested in going through the accreditation process for CFPM. I'll talk a little bit through it. I don't intend to spend a lot of time on it, basically so I can leave a little bit of time for you to ask some questions as well. So I shall make a start. First 3 slides, it's a little bit of an education. If you know it, I apologise. What's CFP, Conference Food Protection? It's basically where we all sit together. So you've got the certification providers, ourselves, Safe, ServSafe, State Food Safety Act. You've got the FDA, CDC, USDA, and probably most importantly, you've got a lot of state and local health departments and restaurants and grocery chains involved in it. And it's very much, we look at the entire food market and look to see where we can kind of come together and agree on what are the best processes going forward, which we then obviously report back to the FDA, such as you do on that. So yeah, our job basically is to make sure what's happening in the retail environment, in the restaurants, is relevant to the FDA and vice versa. So and I've just put a certificate up there. That's the ANSI logo, although they are changing to ANAB very soon. Again, you probably all know that. So that's the CFP. Who is ANSI stroke ANAB? We get asked this question quite a lot. It's the American National Standards Institute, and they are the organisation that accredit the food protection manager. They also accredit any other courses such as food handler, allergy, and alcohol awareness training. For the manager one, obviously, excuse me, I'm running out of it. I'm running out of things. I've been on a plane too long. They basically make sure that ourselves, ServSafe, are matching what the FDA have said, making sure that the exams that we produce are fair and reasonable, not too easy, not too hard, and the exam forms that we all produce are, you should be able to take anybody's exam form if you've got a knowledge of food safety. In the main, people tend to take the exam if they've done the training with the same company. We don't have to. So it's all about balancing, make sure we're doing it right, and make sure we're reporting it right back to them. So that's Sandy's job. They are the ones that will grant the certification provider the accreditation. Nobody else will. So as a health inspector, obviously you're looking for the ANSI ANAB logo on the certificate. Excuse me. These are all the companies that are registered at manager level. Ourselves, State Food, 360, National Register, ServSafe, which obviously the same company now, Responsible, and AAA Food. I suppose the interesting bit here is there are only 7 providers worldwide at this level. It is a very, very, very rigorous procedure to go through. It takes roughly 2 to 3 years to gain the certification, and we see every year there may be 10 or 20 will start, and by the end of the year, the vast majority have dropped out. It's interesting to do. It is interesting to do. However, Anne's there to make sure that, you know, the standard, we meet the standards, and kind of any of those companies have met it. It's a very, very high standard. Hot topic, as I say, in bold. Technically speaking, all those certificates issued should be accepted. So if you go into a restaurant or, you know, a fast food outlet, and they give you a responsible trading certificate, technically it should be accepted. They're all at the same level. And there's been a few recently where some of the hotel groups have kind of said, we want the same certificate across all the 50 states that they reside in. So we're seeing that quite a lot. I've actually put a link there. I won't click on it, down to the directory. But yeah, that's the 7 that should be accepted. Excuse me, for the certificate. Please put your hand up if you want to stop me at any stage on this. Okay, ServeSafe, never heard of them, you may say. Obviously, ServeSafe are very much the, as we call it, the Kleenex brand of the industry. But as I said, there are another 6 providers out there. You know, quite often we will hear, is it ServeSafe accredited? We get that a lot. Does my certificate have to say ServeSafe? No, it doesn't. They are not the awarding body, and the certificate does not have to say ServeSafe, and that's something that all the providers say day in, day out. The most important thing is it must have the ANSI logo on. That's the important thing on the certificate. Interestingly, and I've put there, we are seeing, especially since COVID, in fairness, when there was a need for people to look at more remote training and exams, we are getting roughly 55,000 hits a month to the website, and I know State Food is in a very similar position as well. So the kind of the point of this slide is that, you know, you will see more non-ServeSafe certificates being presented at inspections, and like I said, ANSI is the bit that you need to look for. Excuse me. Okay, so how do you grade a course, an exam to meet ANSI's requirements? As I've said there, Advil, alcohol, and 3 years of hard work. Also being British, there was a requirement for me to drink gin on a regular basis, so that one was easy for me. But yeah, it's hard work. You will also need to hire an outside contractor or bring somebody internally, a psychometrician. The psychometrician's job is to basically, like I said, make sure the examination is fair and reasonable and balanced. So any exam that somebody gets, it should be pretty similar to everybody else's. Cost of accreditation, it's about 300,000 to do it. That is obviously paperwork submissions backwards and forwards, psychometrician. We also need to look at job task analysis, get subject matter experts in, etc. So it's a hefty cost, and if you're interested in doing it, kind of just be prepared for the long haul and the cost of doing it. As I said there, obviously we've got a psychometrician in. There is a learner management system you have to build to store the exam data, and for the proctor analysis details. And there's also going to be a learner-facing learner management system, so they can watch the training if they want, and then go to the exam. So, like I said, roughly 300,000. I think it was 300,000, but we do know the company spent up to $1 million on it. So, yeah, it's tough and hard. It's probably best thing to say. So if you're still considering, here are kind of the next few slides, and I'll kind of detail some of the required steps. Like I said, I think what we see is you see many people start and get 3, 6, 9 months in and go, yeah, this is too much work, and obviously cost as well. Okay, so how do you create a course to meet, and exam, sorry, to meet ANSI standards? The first thing you do is you've got the FDA food code, and as certification providers, we have to determine what is a must-have and what is additional information that's going to help. So we will look at everything in the FDA food code. All, I think it's 750 pages at the moment. And obviously the key things: temperature control, personal hygiene, pest control, HACCP, etc. We will go through the course and design it from the FDA food code. When you design it, it's kind of two ways. And all of the training providers fall into kind of one or two camps. There's a very theory-based course, or there's a more practical-based course. We kind of went for the practical-based provider, really, because, again, knowing the industry and knowing the people that we work with, it's better that we kind of show them. So at its basic, how to temperature probe a chicken. You know, we run through the process. So a lot of practical work done in that. We do talk about HACCP. We have a full chapter on HACCP, but rather than talking about like the theory that sits behind it and what we're doing, we look at what are they going to be doing on a daily basis. How are they going to look after it? A lot of companies, it's set up for them, and they are just basically running it. And we obviously focus on like critical limits, control points, monitoring, corrective action. How do you control the food safety? We explain HACCP, what it is, and then what you need to do, but we spend a lot more time on the what you need to do part of it as well. So that's just a theory, one of the ideas that we do. Then we have to take it to ANSI, and then we have to prove that it's acceptable, and we've not missed anything, or there's too much in. So we do that. But as I said, you are free to choose the style which you prefer. Excuse me. I think out of the 7, I think 5 are more practical based and 2 are more theory based. On that one. Okay. You've got an idea of your course, you've been through it all. You then need subject matter experts. That's basically people from across the industry that we want to see at rough draft stage, that it matches what we think it needs to match. And we will pull in people. We'll try and balance it. So you've got people from a mom and pop store, as you say, to Kroger supermarket chain, and everything in between that. We also look at what the roles are in the business. So we want directors of training, food safety managers, people working in store, and down to kind of servers and cleaners as well. So we need to understand in an average day what are the jobs that do the most of, and from there we create what we call a job task analysis. So like I said, how often are they cleaning? Often should they clean? How much are they cleaning? What percentage of the day do they spend cleaning, for example? We send that out to, it's roughly 2,500 to 5,000 workers. And then as soon as we start to get 20% return, we start to review it. And again, that's where the psychometrician comes in. We don't want, for example, to spend a lot of time on, I know one thing we got pulled on when we did this was choosing a pest contractor. And they went, yeah, no, you kind of really need to drop that down a bit and include more on denial of access. So we did, and we kind of worked through what the subject matter experts say and what comes back from the job task analysis. We have to prove it. We have to prove it. I think I put it on about that. It's a true reflection of what happens in a food business. So that's kind of what we do. That's actually quite a good part, because you spend the time writing it. You actually send it to people who are experts. We all talk about it. We agree that this is right, that's right, this is wrong. And then from that stage, we then go to the filming or editing of the product. That's a typical job task analysis that we will send out to people. So, you know, what percentage of the time do they spend on certain things? And that's where we then start to drag the exam from. Excuse me. Like I said, exam development, same group and same levels of experience we look for. And this is where the psychometrician really takes over, and we start to balance the exam forms. We always have to have two exam forms at one time, which must be equivalent. And when the questions hit a certain amount, we have to then retire the question and form new questions. We do that again, similar, it's kind of repeat the process. Some need to be rewritten, some retired, and we constantly look at that data to make sure we can get, you know, the balance right. We, on a quarterly basis, then present all that to ANSI to prove it. So, you know, is it fair and reasonable? Worst thing is we don't want to be too easy, but on the other side of it, we don't want to be that hard that they just start crying and can't do it. So it's just balancing that. From that, we will also look at the learning content. And for example, if somebody is if the same question keeps coming up wrong, is it the question, how we've written it? Is it the multiple choice answers, how we've written those? Or is it the actual training content? And we will then go back and make sure that we change anything we need. So it's an ongoing process that never stops. Excuse me. And then once a year, we turn up for 3 days and sit there and go through absolutely everything. It feels like your first job interview, and they're there every year. So it's interesting. I mean, their job's there to help us to make sure we're doing it properly. And very much at the end of it, we say, you know, are we doing what we say we're going to do? And they will check your policies and procedures, your proctor information, your exam data, your course data, and they will spend quite a lot of time going through it. There will be certain non-conformities we haven't done, and they must be rectified within a pretty short time frame, and then you're granted another year's accreditation, and then it starts again. It's coming up in August again. Can't believe how quick this year's gone. So yeah, so that's kind of the process. Excuse me. I hope I've not frightened you all, because it is, but I'm trying not to frighten you. As I said before, it is perfectly acceptable for anybody to apply to ANSI. Anybody can do it, but like I said, the caveat there is there's only 7 of us doing it. It's not an easy process. There are 3 options. I've kind of just put them down to discuss, really. Develop your own training package. You know, there is no ANSI requirement at manager level for that to be checked. So you can develop your own package and then use, obviously, one of the suppliers for the exams, which is, a lot of people do that. A lot of people have got some great video training out there. They've also got, sorry, something's going wrong. Can you see it? Okay. What happened then? I'm not sure what happened then. Sorry.
It looks just like your share screen went away, so you might just try sharing one more time.
Give it a try. Don't know what happened then. Am I back?
Yes, if you just, well, what it's doing is showing your notes page, but it's okay.
Let me go with that. Can you, is that okay? Can you see that?
It might be sharing the wrong screen, because it looks like it's sharing your other screen that you would see to run this.
Tell you what, let me unplug that one. What about that? Did that work? That's weird.
No, but we can still see, I think, so feel free.
You go to
Okay, all right,
display
sorry.
settings. If you go
Sorry.
to display settings, you can toggle so that it shows the other presentation view. Up at the top. Yes.
Display settings. Do you want a job?
Hired.
You're hired. Swap presenter view and slideshow.
Yes.
Yeah. That's not working.
Looks like it's grayed out.
Tell you what, why don't I end it and start trying again? Sorry about this.
Technology is hard.
Right, let me try again. Share screen, click. Try that one. Have you got that one?
Better.
That's weird. I've never seen it do this before. I have no idea why it's doing that. Sorry about this. Let me just try and get rid of this.
Can you advance the slide? Because it says you're on 1 of 17. Wow. I think you're okay.
Are you seeing 3 options to consider?
Yep. Looks good.
Sorry about this. I've never seen this happen before. Let me just get rid of that. Okay. 3 options. Sorry. Develop your own course, and then use obviously ourselves, Surfip, etc. for the exam. And a lot of people do that. Partnership is something when I was actually writing this one. Work with one of the providers, work with ourselves, State Food, ServeSafe. We have an ability to brand, white label, as we call it, the sites. So we could happily say, I live in Colorado, so Colorado State Health Department, you can have that. We can do that very easily, as some of the other providers can as well, I just may add. The beauty of that is it's under your brand. You can use access to the training, then you can use the exam banks and the system on the thing. We just basically look after it. That gives you your brand visibility. From our point of view, we do the back end, so we look after the ANZA requirements, food code updates, exam development, etc., etc. We do that with a lot of the bigger chains, like Hard Rock, for example. It's our site under a Hard Rock brand. I'm just thinking that's maybe an opportunity. Now, how do I progress to the next slide then? Because I have no button. This is really weird.
Can you just use your arrow, your down arrow, or your over arrow?
I tried that one. Yeah, did that work?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, there's a couple of alternatives there. Go for it yourself, kind of semi-partnership, or let somebody do it yourself. Excuse me, let somebody do it for you. That's kind of the 3 ways to look at it. And like I said, all seven suppliers will look at that. Learning styles and developments. I just want to put a bit on about this. Since COVID, we've seen a dramatic increase in online learning. It's been significant. We deal with a lot of training companies, a lot of proctoring companies direct, and we've seen that really drop down a lot, and the more and more online. It's been unbelievable change. They're now used to accessing remote learning 24/7, and particularly the younger employees, I'm talking under 30s, tend to prefer to use online. They don't want to travel, they don't want to do the classroom facility. And I said now, and that figure is unbelievable, 54% of all our examinees now use remote online and remote proctoring. The market's changing quite a lot. One thing we do encourage, where we can with a lot of people, is more of a blended learning concept. So what I'm saying by that is there's a lot of learning they can do online. They can do the online training courses. A lot of companies like then to pull them in to just do half a day classroom-based course, usually because it's relevant to their business, different cooking temperatures. Quite a few are above what the FDA say, and a factor of safety. So we see that quite a lot, and then they take the proctored final exam. So we've seen that's growing quite a lot, actually. In addition, the learner wants an immediate result. Everything's immediate nowadays. They don't want to wait for somebody to post a certificate to them or to know whether they've passed or failed. So we now offer, when they pass the exam, it's a provision. They get a provisional score, which will say it will be verified in 36 hours, sorry, and they will get a provisional score. And as soon as that's verified, the certificate is a PDF is sent to them. So the great thing for our point is we no longer have to manually mark papers, which we used to do, and then post certificates. So I'm not upset. I'm not upset about people doing that, to be honest. But like I said, the market is definitely changing. Okay. I put this in because obviously I was at the CFP conference and I've just been at the NRA show. And one thing we put in all our training and a lot of talks that we do, we repeatedly remind the learners the health inspector is there to help them. That's one thing that we probably spend more time talking about than anything else. And we're very strong on saying, look, you've got a health inspector, you've got your food business, and you've got a training provider providing that training. They have to work together. And that's one thing that we constantly say to them. And yes, we have. You've probably seen many, many thousands of examples where we have seen people run out of back to building when we've been in, when you suddenly make a surprise visit. So, yeah, it's interesting to see. On the manager course, obviously, we talk a lot about the manager's responsibilities and person in charge responsibilities. We're adding quite a few points to going, right, okay, if you think you've got a problem, and you're not sure how to fix it, talk to your health inspector. You know, don't come to us. We can advise the health inspector person you should really be talking with. And that's worked very, very well. A lot of people really like that section. So I just thought I'd throw that in. Just to, all training providers should be reminded them of these quite important points. I said, that's it from me. I know I've sped through it, but I just wanted to make sure that you kind of all, I've killed it again. You kind of all got a chance to see it, and then if you've any questions or you want to talk for anything, you know, please do. Short and sweet from me. That usually takes me 4 hours.
No, you did good. I want to give everyone an opportunity to ask some questions, and you do speak very quickly, but I do too.
Sorry.
So I talk fast too. I want to give our participants ask questions. You can you put up the screen again with your contact information we've asked in the chat, since that got taken down pretty quick. Good call. Or you could type it in the chat too if you want to do that. That way it's there for till the end of the meeting. Any questions, you can unmute, you can use chat. I thought I heard somebody. We have a question. Do you provide training in multiple languages?
Yeah, we do in English and Spanish at the moment. However, funny enough, at the NRA show, we had a meeting with, you know, AI technology is growing massively. I don't fully understand it, if I'm being honest. I'm too old, I think, to understand what a chat GBT is. But interestingly, we were talking to a company, and if we give them the written content in English, you type in any language on the planet, it does it for you. So we are just working on that a bit at the moment. But the filmed, all our training is filmed video based. So we filmed in English and we filmed in Spanish to start with. But this AI, you might see me speaking in Vietnamese at some stage, or Punjabi, or whatever, Australian, American English. American English, I'll try that one.
Yeah, there's a lot of different languages, and ChatGPT can do that. I just watched a video on YouTube as to how that works. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Anyone else have any questions about the certified food safety manager training? There's lots of options out there, but we're going to preferential right now during this meeting to Nick.
It's like I said, the 7 suppliers out there, you know, there are 7, obviously ServSafe, the giant, the Kleenex as we call it. But there's a lot of competitors out there who are doing some good things. Like I said, I believe we are state food safety is. You know, there's some very good companies out there now. And like I said, we all sit down once every 3 months. Once we stop fighting, we find, then everybody has a chat, man. We start working through everything. But yeah, no, all the suppliers there are there to help you protect the consumer. You know, that's his job, to provide good food safety training. That's what we're here for. So, but they all do it.
Well, and as a regulator, you want to try to provide people with as many options as possible. And so that's why we were happy to have you come and speak, so that way people could hear about other options that are out there that have got this one thing. So,
Yeah.
great. Well, we appreciate you. Oh, we got another one. As a health inspector, I appreciate you letting people know that we are educators, not enemies. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the point. That's the most simple point we get across to people. You're there to help them. That's it.
Yeah, very good, very good. Well, thank you. I invite you to stay and stick on if you can, to the rest of our committee meeting. I wanted to,
It's just one more question in the chat.
oh, they just got dropped in. Are the exams required to be in person?
Actually not. Most are proctored in person, but there's been a big growth in remote proctoring where somebody goes to. We use all the providers use Proctor.U, Examity are the two big players, and you can actually, you've got to pay extra money and they will set a time up. You'll get your laptop and it's via your camera. They scan your desk, make sure you've no notes, no phones available, and their system actually blocks you from, say, Googling something. You can't Google temperature, it blocks it down. We see a lot of that in smaller outlying areas where it may be quite hard to get to a test centre. So it's there, it is, and it is increasing a lot. But yeah, in the main, they're in person exams.
All right. Very good. Well, thank you once again. And you guys all can get his information if you want to ask additional questions that you may not have thought of during this time. So thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Thanks, Nick. Thank you.
All right. I am going to share my screen. Let me know if you see the PowerPoint that I started with. I was glitching, of course. Chris, are we good to go?
Yes.
All right. So I wanted to show you all the little card we had printed up for conference. Raise your hand if you're going to the educational conference in June. You're going to get your own little card. Yep. Oh, good. Nick, you're going?
Yeah.
Very good. Well, this card was designed to show and to be able to our committee work. And so I wanted you guys to see it. So you'll get your own here in a minute if you go to conference. So Chris and I have been co-chairs of this committee. And so we're going to give you a brief update. This was our mission and our charges for this last year. You'll see that I have moved from Kansas Department of Agriculture. Now I'm working for AFTO, so that seems a bit off, but these are charges. I'm going to go through them individually on the next slides. This is really, I wanted to make sure that if anyone's joining us on the committee call today, that they kind of know what our committee is about. So we wanted to continue outreach and research to find additional state, county, and city resources. And obviously here's the map. So we worked round one, went through find resource, and we went through round two. So we found more on our second round. We used AFTO's retail regulatory program directory to try to help us find counties and cities that maybe we had overlooked on the first round. Charge two, we wanted to evaluate the structure within the website, which I have the website here for you. If you haven't already been to the resources tab on the AFTO website under foreign language, we renamed it to foreign language. We also restructured things into buckets. So it's been very well managed to this point. If you're a user, you're going to see a lot better structure here. So this is what it looked like. And I showed this the last time. So we have some resources that don't have very many, some languages. And then like say Spanish, we had so many that you couldn't even fit it on the screen. So we went from this scroll situation to buckets. So every language is going to have these general buckets based off of the resources we've found. And then you'll click on the plus sign or the letter or the words themselves in order to have drop-down lists of all the resources under that topic. So it's really beneficial if you're out and about doing inspections, that you can find what you need, or even if you're in the office, but didn't want to waste a lot of people's time. So charge 3 was to distribute the list. So in last year's conference, this is the ad that was in the booklet. This ad will be in the booklet again. Plus we're doing the card. We just really want to get the word out to people that this resource list of over, let's see, Steve, you just ran the numbers. He said it was 1,770, I think 7 with the 2 additional resources I just sent today, in this structure. So that's just a lot. But we want everyone to know there's no sense in having them all if no one looks at them, right? So we wanted to get the word out. We did mention the resource list at Inspector Boot Camp and at the RRT conference and at the MIFRIPA meeting. So wherever I was at, I made sure we talked about it. So any kind of advertisement you can do and let people know, we would appreciate it. We're hoping to expand the marketing to all of our regional affiliates this next year, because AFTO attends all of those, the president does. And so we're going to have her bring the cards to the meetings so that way we can get the word out to the boots on the ground. And as a committee member, if you want to join, we would love to have you. My intent was to I had all of the links in my notes, but it won't let me when in presentation mode. So I'll make sure that I get these in the chat here in a second. But these are the things that are deadlines that we have. And so we try to not have to have Steve Morris tell us what we're missing or what we're doing next if we can help it. But these are the different things we do. It's not a highly intensive committee. It's kind of something that'll be continually ongoing. So if you want to join us, don't let this scare you, okay? Let's see. All right, so really the next task is going to conference, right? Because this is our annual meeting with inviting everybody and inviting visitors out. But our next task will be due in October. So we're going to want to have a meeting in August or September. So that's the goal. Drop it into chat if you have a preference. All right. I want to leave lots of time for questions, maybe even to demonstrate. Chris, how's the chat going? Because I haven't been able to look at that.
Good. Lisa answered the one question. Someone was asking why Ohio was shaded, and I believe this, Lisa's correct. Lisa, that's when they're part of 2 different affiliates. So if you're part of like CASA and NFDOA, like I believe New York is, so it would be shaded.
Correct.
Okay.
Awesome.
So Ohio is part of CASA and it's also part of, is it Mid Central maybe? I don't know.
Let's see.
Oh, NC AFTO. Thank you.
You're in so many you can't even remember. And it looks like I'm about to freeze up here. Oh, good. Too much sharing. My computer can't take it. Okay. So feel free to unmute. It always feels so weird, doesn't it? When no one speaks and they just use the chat. I feel so alone.
I have a question, Christine Bouchard from Suffolk County.
For sure.
When I was looking for the documents that are translated in all these languages, I mean, I haven't looked at it in the past few weeks, but when I did look at it, I couldn't tell what any of the documents said because there's no like original in English for each category. Has it been fixed?
Good question. So Steve, you might be able to, Steve's the one that dumped them into the buckets for me, but I think we could probably, I could probably bring this up real quick and demonstrate, but there is an English folder and I never put anything in the system that didn't also have an English because I thought, well, you wouldn't want to provide something you have no clue what the content is. That would be really difficult. I totally get that. Let's see if I can quickly bring it up. Do you have anything off the top of your head? I probably could find something probably pretty quickly. Forgive me. But that's a great question. I'm going to share and hopefully it does not freak out. Okay, so let's do, so see how there's English here as well? Oh, no, because I didn't push the word share. Okay, do you, hopefully, as soon as it starts.
I believe Autumn's on mute. Autumn, if you want to unmute.
Sorry, it kicked me off and kicked me back on. Okay, do you see English here?
Yes.
Okay, so if you go to say, I'm totally guessing here. So consumer advisory, what to do in the event of a power outage. Now this might be a good thing to do, but you go to English and I pray this is there. What to do in a power outage. Now, power outage, I know this could be hard for people, but I'm gonna have, and of course that one's not on there. That's really not good.
It was under consumer advisory.
Consumer advisory? That's weird. What was under consumer advisory?
On the other language, it was under consumer advisory.
Oops, I keep going back too far. Clearly, I'm not in this enough. Yeah, right. Okay, let me just see something that I would have, let's just go. I need to find something that's like really easy to. AMC toolbox in Spanish. Let's go to English. Back. Please be there. AMC toolbox. And then you can see it in English. So if there's something on there, and that's something I can double check as a next item to do. That's scary that everything that's in here has a English counterpart. Thank you for bringing that up. Does that help? Now we add.
Yeah, that helps. I'll just have to go back and forth and look.
Yeah, what would be ideal is if it had it right underneath. That's totally true. Steve, that would only be 1,777 links to put on there, which makes me chuckle because I don't have access to do all that work. But we have added how many new language, Steve? Was it like 7 or something?
8 new languages in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah. Now, obviously, I remember Russian was one, but there's not. Oh, there is a ton. Oh my gosh, are these all from Oregon? Oregon was just like blew us out of the water with all their resources they have. And now with ChatGPT, man, we just.
It was in the chat, Rachel was asking if she has handouts that are not on the resource list, can we add them or send them in to be added?
Yes, send them to me. I will put my. Thank you.
So yeah, the project is to try to reach, as many jurisdictions and find as many resources as possible. So absolutely, if anyone has any information that's not included, we'd be happy to accept everything.
And in addition to that, if there is something that you're needing and you're not seeing, we can try to push that with some jurisdiction of some kind or money that maybe we know about. I mean, I'm not really sure, but we need to know what's missing. And then plus, with me teaching risk-based inspections, not everything is good in print, right? Not everybody can read. And so if there are videos maybe that we could come across, those would really be great. Or images that had just more pictures and less words, those are very coveted. So if anyone knows of ones that have those, now just so that you all know, those are indicated in with the word video in front. Let's see, I know for sure there's one in cooling, so. Gonna make a liar out of me. Oh, cold holding, cooking, cooling. Well, it's supposed to anyway. It's supposed to say video on front. And I know that anything new, we've made sure to add that. And I'm not seeing, as I'm making you all sick to your stomach as I'm scrolling. Iowa had those videos and I'm not even seeing those. So I'll look into it, but it should say video out in front if it's a video. Oh, here we go. It has its own video area. My gosh. So you'll know that those are video links rather than documents or resource pages. Any other questions? Thank you, Rachel, for sending those additional handouts. That's awesome. All righty. Well, I appreciate everyone's time. Chris, do you have anything else to add?
No, just thank you to Nick and thank you to Autumn for putting it together.
Very good. Thanks, Nick. We'll see you at conference. Everyone can talk to you there too.
Mhm.
All right. Goodbye, everyone.
Have a good day.
You might mention that, like, if you want to join the actual committee, you can go onto our website and join with a click on the button.
I am going to put the link in. I wasn't able to get to those links I put into my presentation and my notes because it doesn't allow that. You just have to go to committees. I think that's how I always find it. There's so much on our committees and portals. Go figure. I'm going to put this in the chat. That way, if someone just wants that, then yeah, please join our committee. We're the fun ones. I don't know if the other ones are, but I'm just assuming we are. Thanks, everybody.
Have a
Thanks,
good day,
Chris.
everyone.